Greetings, citizens of Nerdtropolis. Sean Todd here, the mayor of Nerdtropolis, and my guest today is Albert Hughes, the director of The Continental, a three-part series from the world of John Wick. Albert, it is a pleasure to talk to you today. I'm going to say I'm a big fan of your work, and I'm excited to talk about this three-part series, The Continental. But a fun fact I learned about you, that you're half Iranian?
Well, Armenian by way of the family growing up in Iran, I should say, Tehran. They're very much a Persian culture. Like all the food I ate on my Armenian side is Persian. I didn't know that till I got older. I thought it was Armenian. No, they were all born in Tehran.
Well, you're talking to a fellow Persian right now.
Oh, well, come on, man. Like Kubide and Fesenjoon and Tadik, that's my jam.
Definitely. If you come to Texas, I'll have my parents make that for you.
I love it. That's basically our holidays. My daughter and my nephew grew up on that food, so they smell that, they think family.
Well, that's awesome. I gotta say, salam chatori. I gotta greet you real quick in Farsi.
They know that too. I don't.
It's all good. At least they know. But excited to talk to you about this. Can you describe the approach behind delving into the backstory of the Continental Hotel in the John Wick universe?
Well, it was already presented in the first script. The second one was in flux when I came on. And I just thought it was a pretty cool idea because of Winston and Charon's history together and how they formed a bond and all these other interesting characters. And the fact that it took place in the 1970s, like 40 years prior to the first John Wick, which was, I think, 2014. And I go, well, I don't know that I would ever want to do a current day John Wick thing because that's what Chad's there for. He does a great job at it with Keanu. And the fact that it takes place in the 70s, that's the era I was born in. And, my mother and my father are listening to different types of music. This could be something that could be fun.
Yeah, the soundtrack's actually really cool. I love hearing the music that's selected for certain scenes. It's brilliantly done. And, Winston and Charon are fan favorites from the John Wick universe, played brilliantly by Ian McShane and the late Lance Reddick, who was actually my first in-person interview. My first in-person junket was for John Wick. And during my interview with him for Chapter 4, he shared that he created a backstory for this character. Was that ever shared with y'all?
No, and I saw the interviews with him and Ian McShane separate where they talk about backstories, but they don't get into the details of it. And they that never got to us. I don't know if it got to the showrunner or the writers or the execs. But I think there comes a point where it's like every actor always has their own backstory, whether or not the studio agrees with it or the director agrees, that doesn't matter. They have to have their backstories, right? Because I even have a backstory for them in between the time of the Continental and the John Wick series. I think to myself, there's no way Charon is just a concierge. I think that he's 50-50 partners. That's my theory. He's 50-50 partners with Winston, and that Charon is there as a front, as a concierge. And he's there to kind of scope out and be the eyes and ears of who comes in. And they report to each other together to figure out who's in the hotel, how it should be taken care of. But I just can't believe that Charon would just be a concierge. He's far too heavy of a character for that.
Yeah, they laid the groundwork for these great characters, but you also found amazing, young, talented actors to take on these established characters. How did you find the young Winston and the young Charon?
Charon was a little bit more difficult because down to the last minute, there was one guy who came in 3 times that pretty much was going to get the part until Sophie, this casting woman from the UK, found this kid in Wells, who was in drama school, his last year of drama school. And he just came in, we're like, wow, never been on camera before. Colin was difficult because it just was a long search, but not as difficult as Charon. And Colin just had this movie star thing and his smart actor thing. He had a lot of things going on. Yes, you need to get the superficial stuff out of the way, which is they have to look a little similar to them. And then you have to get into talent, which they both had in spades. Once they got on the ground, I was like, oh, we got real lucky here.
Yeah, this show has so much action and heart, great backstories. I really love it. Mel Gibson is in this, which is amazing. He's so unhinged in the scenes, and I'm just like glued, eyes open when it's Mel Gibson on screen and he's going wild. How did you land Mel Gibson, and what did he bring to the set?
Well, it's always like the same thing. You come up with the same 5 names and see who responds. And then with the group, with the studio network and other producers, you go out to people. And we casted him because we thought he was right for the role based off of some of his past passionate performances that you believe. And I think that's the big thing is you have to believe that he is that guy, basically, right? And we know where it's headed. If you've seen all three, you know he goes to a pretty wacky place in episode 3. And the show is kind of poking fun at itself. It's what the Wick films do too. It doesn't take itself seriously. It's camp, it's pulp, it's all those things mixed into one, and it's there to have a good time. It's there for the audience to escape everyday realities of life and to have a good time at the movie theaters or at home in your home cinema, basically. So he checked that box, as well as the twins checked that box big time, and a bunch of others.
Yeah, the John Wick universe, I really think is fan service for that genre. It's giving us everything we love about it. And the show does the same thing. And that's what it becomes campy, becomes serious, it becomes action-packed, becomes like really bloody, really like, I think it elevates the blood more than I've seen in the movies. It goes wild.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because I've seen that written down, and I go, wow, I wonder where that comes from, because I maybe I'm not paying attention, because John Wick putting a knife in someone's eye, like I had to turn away.
Yeah, but we're seeing a lot of.
Does it feel more bloody? Does it feel more bloody? It feels
more bloody. There's one where he's, there's a lot of bashing, and a lot of just like on the cameras is looking. I'm like, oh, that's a long scene. Like that's a lot of focus on it. It's great. So how does the Continental maintain like the signature John Wick style of action while exploring the deeper character development and the backstory? Like there's a lot of balance.
Well, the easy part is the action, because it's the same company, 8711, that's owned by Chad Stahelski and David Leitch. And all the stunt players that we're dealing with, whether it's their head coordinator and action director, Larnell Stovall, or the other guys, they've all been in John Wick camp or John Wick movies. Some of them are even on camera. So that's taken care of. That got the stamp of approval from Chad Stahelski and David Leitch. Introducing new characters is more difficult, because every John Wick movie does that, but you have to buy in on these characters. So that's more the difficult lift. The action for me was always about to always balance too, because we can't do what the movies do. We don't have Keanu. You can't have a 20-minute set piece. We have to establish a story and characters, and you have to go in and out of action in a very marbleized kind of way. A good steak would have, a good Kobe steak, you marbleize the fat in, and the fat is the action. But if the audience don't buy into the story, the action doesn't matter.
Yeah, you did just as good as the movies, and it elevates itself once it gets to the third act, the third episode. I mean, it goes over their top. It's a nice build-up, and bam, you get a lot of fun stuff. So,
I hope people are watching the third one, because I don't think they know that.
They don't know what they're in for.
It goes pretty nuts.
It does. But thank you again, Albert, for your time. I'm looking forward to what you deliver to us next. You have a great career behind you and in front of you. I'm super excited to see what you do next.
Thank you. And you have to say goodbye in Farsi now, so I remember that one.
Okay. Khudafis, Albert.
Oh, shit. That's too hard for me.
I'm not your teacher for this one. There you go. You got it.
All right. Cool. Thank you, man. All right. Ciao.
Once again, this is Sean Taj, the mayor of Nerdtropolis, and stay tuned for more movie news, reviews, interviews, and trailers.